Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalica and you're going to be a super spicy person after watching this video. Play illegal games, win legal prizes. I also posted this in r/malicious compliance, so if you saw it over there, same story. This happened about a decade ago, long story, but worth a read in my opinion. I worked for a large drug chain as a frontline manager. For this chain, the pharmacist is the owner of the shop, they run it, but the company still owns the whole thing. So I guess it's like they're a corporate franchisee. Anyways, the shop had a history of not being able to keep a manager in the role I just took on for very long. The training was practically non-existent and nothing was documented. On with the show. One day, within my first 3 months, I'm sick as a dog and I can barely get out of bed. As it's a health and wellness business and as I couldn't work even if I wanted to, I called into the back of house manager. This manager acts as the assistant manager to the owner as they were real life friends. I said I was sick and I couldn't go to work. I was asked who would be covering for me, as I had to open the shop every day, and I said I didn't know. I was told that as a manager I was responsible for this and I needed to find someone. Fair enough, even though nobody told me about this. I pulled out my staff listing and found someone to cover my shift who had keys and could open the store. Keep in mind that most of my staff were part-time or students at the time, and I only had one full-time employee that worked Monday to Friday. When I got into work the next day, the assistant manager told me that I couldn't call in sick and that the next time I call in sick I shouldn't bother coming back. I was shocked, as this is very unprofessional and I didn't expect it coming from the second in command at the store. My one full-time employee starts telling me that I'm the best manager they've had for the last 2 years, and during that time they went through six managers before me. I'm told that I've done more in my time than all of the previous managers did in total. Things like having the staff cash out in company time, not making people stay to find errors or recount on their own time, and basically not breaking labour laws. So the owner calls me into their office and tells me that due to my sick day I won't be paid for it as I'm still on probation, and that the accountant who does the payroll will be instructed as such. This was unexpected as I'm a salaried employee, and probation or not, I know this isn't right, but I agree and get on with my day. Being that there were lots of part-times and students that worked there, we had an actual punch clock to clock in and clock out for all employees, including me. Being a salaried manager, whenever one of my staff couldn't work and if I couldn't find a replacement, I ended up covering that shift myself. I looked at it like an opportunity to get to know my evening staff better, as I usually never saw them. On the paycheck that my sick day happened, I also needed to cover a few extra shifts for other employees, as everyone seems to get sick about the same time. And as the manager, I'm the one who totals up the time cards prior to giving them over to the accountant. These time cards can't be faked as they're physically punched and encoded with dates and times from the machine. Here's the malicious compliance part. I handed my team's time cards with mine on top to the accountant, who looks at me and reminds me about the instructions she's gotten from the owner. She didn't like it, but she had her orders. I tell her that I understand and here's my time card. She looks at it, raises her eyebrows at me, and before she can ask a question, I remind her that I am not a salaried employee as I'm still on probation, and that normal pay rules should apply, even though this is illegal. She looks at me, smiles and confirms that this is what she was told by the owner. It turns out that deducting the sick day I missed, but adding on the 3 extra shifts I had to work that period to cover for other staff not showing up, I ended up working 96 hours that payday. So, because I wasn't salaried, the accountant paid me time and a half for the extra 16 hours I worked. Also, here's some ProRevenge for you. Because I knew that these things weren't really legal, I decided I was done with the company and this boss. I emailed my friend who helped me get the job, who just happened to be the head of their corporate security, with the story I just told, and gave him permission to send it to whoever he thinks would need to see it. Later that week, I got a call from another employer asking if I could start immediately. I said yes of course and went back into work. This call happened just after I had gotten home from work. Yes, before cell phones were a thing. I walked into work, went into the back office to collect my personal effects, and came back out. My shift supervisor was perplexed as I had just left for the night. I shook his hand and told him that it was nice working with him. He was shocked and asked, "You're firing me?" I actually lolled and told him, "No, I'm quitting. You get to keep working here." I went to hand my keys and resignation to the night pharmacist and told him to pass it on to the owner. My letter consisted of, "I quit, signed OP." I went back a few weeks later to get some stuff. I still shop there as it's close to my home, and the one full-time employee says "Hi" with a big smile and tells me the following in hushed tones. A few days after you left, some suits from head office came in, had a meeting with the owner and left. When the owner left after that day, they haven't seen the owner since. It seems that the suits came and took the store away from them based on the owner's inability to keep your old position filled. The employee didn't know about the email I sent to the head of security, but when I mentioned it, the employee lit up like a light bulb and said, "So that's why." The icing on the cake for me was that the owner knew about this connection I had with the head of security, as they were listed as a reference, and the owner contacted them directly about the referral. Doing illegal stuff to someone with a direct line to the head of security is probably not a good idea. 6 managers in 2 years, and when your current manager gets sick for a single day, they get threatened. Wow. Mice helped me fire my wicked step manager. Long post warning. I added all the background because it makes the payoff so much better. The universe aligned the stars for me with this story. My old co-workers and I still talk about it. The backstory. I was working at a popular coffee shop chain in a high-volume swanky location as a barista. We were specially trained to make fancier novelty drinks compared to other locations. I loved my team and my manager, and for the most part, everyone got along. Then, my manager informed us she was moving to another location and we would be getting a new store manager. This new manager, who we will call Jacc, was an old assistant manager from this location. He trained here before becoming the store manager of his own location. Jacc would be returning to be our new manager since he had experience in these fancier stores from his training days. Everyone in the store dreaded his return. From what I gathered, Jacc was an a-hole when he was an assistant manager. Within the first few weeks, things went downhill. He started writing up certain baristas constantly for infractions that others got away with. He slashed everyone's hours from full-time to part-time, claiming that our job description never stated we were entitled to full-time. One barista went from 39.75 hours a week to 16.5. Jacc claimed our company had no write-up expiration date, so he was writing up baristas based on clocked-in lateness within our time management software from when our old manager still ran the store. People went from a clean record to a final warning within one meeting with him. Those who had worked with him before organised themselves into a list of who would get fired next. We didn't suspect there was a personal vendetta against certain baristas who knew him when he was an assistant manager. We knew there was. One by one, several people were fired, all in the order they knew they would be fired. Others found jobs elsewhere. It became a race against the clock. Either quit or wait to be fired for something trivial. We brought up these issues with our district manager, but he ignored them. Slashing hours and cutting corners, including cutting corners on cleaning standards, was proving to be beneficial to the district manager, and he was not interested in helping us. I was badly burned by our drip brewer. I can't say that word. Brewer. And he refused to help me fill out the workers' comp report, as he was too busy placing the weekly order. I had extremely bad cramps on my thigh and went to urgent care. I was one of the last walk-ins at the clinic and left after they closed. When I sent him a picture of the doctor's note, he googled the location from the letterhead and claimed I faked the note since the place was supposed to be closed. Jacc belittled me and other baristas on the cafe floor in front of customers. My mental and physical health suffered. When one of my good friends was fired, I quit with nothing else lined up because I feared I was either going to break down or get fired. This friend, Anthony, got me a job at my current workplace. After Anthony got fired, he struggled to make ends meet with just one job. I helped him out by preparing large batches of food and dropping them off at his workplace. I met his manager and got an interview the following week. I'd been working at this place for probably 2 months when the most magical thing happened to me. The incident. I finished a closing shift at my current job and was passing by my old store, closed for the day, when I saw 2 mice running around the lobby. I filmed it. Guess cutting corners and cleaning and health standards was causing a bit of a rodent issue. In a rush of pent-up anger, watching my team get fired over nothing, watching Anthony struggle to eat, suffering at the hands of Jacc myself, I posted the video to Instagram and tagged the store in it. I posted photos and links to the video on Yelp, Google Reviews, the company page, the customer complaint email, everywhere. I figured at most I was going to be the fly in the ointment and annoy him and the district manager. Then I sent the video of the mice to the Department of Health. A couple days later, the Department of Health served the coffee shop a notice saying they were preparing to do a full inspection. I hear this news from my barista friends. A couple of weeks go by and my current job has a turn in management itself. We weren't getting our legally mandated half-hour breaks and I am put on the 9-hour shifts with no meals. It was a smaller company with no official HR management training, so they thought they could get away with it. Thankfully, this small company's HR was much more sincere than the coffee shop HR, so I arranged a meeting. I stopped by my old coffee shop before my meeting to say hello to a few friends who still worked there. I noticed Jacc and the district manager were there. I grabbed a water and sat down to organise my HR meeting notes. Not even a half hour later, the shift supervisor approaches my area and tells all the cafe customers to leave as the health department has shut them down. She just turns to me and says, "Yes, it was your mice. They found out we have an infestation," and then walks away. Jacc and the district manager don't make eye contact with me. I gleefully return to my current workplace and tell Anthony how I was actually there to see justice happen, justice that I started with my own hands. He tells my co-workers, even my managers find out I shut down a whole store from one report. HR catches wind of this story before our meeting, and I've never been in a more polite, apologetic HR meeting. My managers were reprimanded, and we all had breaks restored to us. All the department and fired baristas took pictures in front of the Department of Health shutdown notice that was taped to the store door. The windows were shuttered up, and the place was vandalised several times. They started the cleaning process, and the inspector would return to clear it again. About 2 weeks after the store shut down, I get a call from the coffee shop's HR department. Apparently, whenever they have something like this happen, they look through the records of the store. Between the mass exit of seasoned baristas and the complaints made to the district manager and HR, they had a novel about my old cafe. The HR rep asked me why I left, and the first words out of my mouth are, "I left because of Jacc the manager, and the district manager is complicit in his actions." They call all of the ex-baristas and a couple of baristas for their stories with Jacc, all negative. Jacc was fired and banned from working within the company. He packed up and moved across the country. The fancy location was taken from the district manager, and now he only oversees basic cafes. I got promoted at my current job to assistant director of the site to oversee HR compliant overhaul to improve the workplace, based on my knowledge of OSHA and state labour laws. And knowledge partly based on my extensive independent research I did when I was working under Jacc, and partly because of my father's experience as a defence lawyer, who passed down a deep understanding and appreciation for human and workers' rights laws. Anthony and the other fired baristas were offered their jobs back, which Anthony accepted. He's in a better financial situation now. This story really goes to show how important managers actually are. When they had the good manager, everything was fine, and then whenever Jacc came along, he literally sank the business. Okay, so that's all for r/ProRevenge. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter, Discord, and Patreon links are in the description, and any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!